An opportunity now in Cleveland with a quarterback situation that, honestly, he can come out of and win the job. I think he'll do well. I really do. I think the kid works really hard. I think he loves the game of ball. And when it comes down to it, if you have a guy like that loves the game, obviously grown up around it his whole life, I think he'll be successful.
He has a tremendous luxury to change plays at the line of scrimmage and what he sees. But you got to take into account that this kid has started every game in his high school career. This kid has started every game in his college career but one. He's seen a lot of football. So it's not too many complex defenses that you could throw at him that he hadn't seen. He's seen all of them.
What happened behind the scenes in Miami last week left NFL scouts, general managers, and team owners completely shocked. Shedeur Sanders put on a performance that was so sharp, so precise, that even the most experienced talent evaluators, people who've been doing this for decades, are now second-guessing everything they thought they knew about quarterback play. The buzz started quietly on Tuesday. By Friday, it was all anyone in football circles could talk about. And now it makes total sense why Deion Sanders has been so confident about his son's NFL future. What you're about to hear could seriously shift the way you see the 2025 NFL Draft. But before getting into the details of that private session, take a second to think about this. How many times have we seen quarterbacks hyped up only to fall apart under real pressure? How often do college stars shine in the NCAA but fold when they step into the NFL's high-stakes environment? The league's history is full of QBs who looked unstoppable in college but couldn't cut it at the next level. That's exactly why what Shedeur did last week is so unbelievable. This wasn't a flashy highlight reel against weak college defenses. It wasn't a carefully edited clip designed to go viral. This was a real, high-stakes NFL-style workout, with all the pressure you can imagine. Here's what we know. About 3 weeks ago, word started to get around that Shedeur had scheduled a private workout in Miami. But this wasn't just any workout. It took place at a top-tier training facility, the kind of place where legends like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers go during the offseason to sharpen their skills. It's a spot known for its privacy and intensity, far away from media noise. But here's where things got really serious. Shedeur didn't just bring in a few position coaches or local scouts. He invited the big names, the harshest critics. These were evaluators who don't get impressed by flashy stats or famous families. Think former NFL defensive coordinators who've built entire careers on shutting down elite QBs. Think scouts who've analyzed everyone from Peyton Manning to Patrick Mahomes. And they all showed up. Every one of them. Inside the facility, the vibe was intense. 15 NFL decision makers, execs, scouts, and coaches were spread across the field. Clipboards out, stopwatches ticking, no smiles, no reactions. Just stone-faced pros who don't hand out compliments lightly. Then Shedeur walked onto the field. No hype, no background music, no cameras trying to catch a viral moment. Just him, carrying the weight of his family name and the hopes of Colorado fans everywhere. The place went silent. And what followed? That's when everything changed.
I think he's done a great job. He's a super nice kid. Those guys, the people I work with that interview him and stuff, he's a great guy. He's just got to, he's got to kind of put himself under the radar and work every day, which he seems to be doing.
The first drill looked pretty basic on the surface. 40-yard throws to stationary targets. Seems simple, right? Not exactly. These weren't college-level wideouts standing out there. They brought in former NFL receivers, guys who really understand how to create separation and run routes with pro-level precision. These are the kinds of receivers who can truly expose whether a quarterback has what it takes or not. Shedeur steps up to the line. First throw. Absolute laser. 40 yards, fast and clean. Tight spiral, right on target. Hits the receiver perfectly in stride. Scouts glance at each other, but no reactions yet. They've seen strong arms before. Then comes the second throw. Still 40 yards, but now it's a comeback route. Way more challenging. The timing has to be spot on. The throw needs to be out before the receiver even makes his cut. Shedeur doesn't just hit the pass. He reads it ahead of time, releasing the ball before the receiver even turns. When the ball lands right in the receiver's chest, just as he comes out of the break, even some of the veteran coaches are caught off guard. One scout literally drops his clipboard. And that was just the warm-up. The real challenge came next. Game simulation. Imagine this. A mock defense made up of former NFL players. Not fringe guys, but legit starters from just a couple of seasons ago. These defenders know how to bait quarterbacks, disguise their coverage, and turn up the pressure. Here's the setup. 2-minute drill. Down 6 points. 85 yards to go. No timeouts. It's the kind of pressure that usually breaks college quarterbacks and separates the real ones from the hype. Shedeur lines up under center. The defense shows one look, but you can tell something's coming. There's a shift about to happen. Classic disguise to force confusion. As soon as the ball is snapped, the coverage rotates, just like expected. Most young QBs would freeze, panic, or try to force something risky, but not Shedeur. He steps up into the pocket with the kind of calm you see from seasoned pros. Eyes downfield the entire time. Then, he sees it. A tiny window, open for maybe half a second. A slot receiver breaking on a dig route, the linebacker trailing just behind. That window is so tight most college QBs wouldn't even attempt it. But Shedeur doesn't hesitate. He fires a strike right between two defenders, hitting his receiver in perfect stride. The linebacker stops mid-step, stunned. The safety trying to rotate over just shakes his head, like he can't believe what he just saw. The scouts lean in. They know they're watching something rare. And the best part? This was only the beginning.
Incredibly accurate.
Yes, he is.
He really understands not only offensive football, but he understands what you're doing as a defense, so he'll pick you apart that way. He processes quickly. Like, all those things to me are big-time attributes. And I just remember last year at this time, Bo Nix falling. People saying, hey, Bo Nix is going to be a second-rounder, and Bo Nix is not. By the way, that guy was one of the best.
But now they can't have him. The same people responsible for his slide in the draft are the ones scrambling. They called him cocky, arrogant, threw every label at him, hoping it would break him. But through it all, Shedeur stayed cool. He didn't let the noise shake him or throw him off course. His mindset never wavered. He knew exactly what he brought to the table, and no amount of criticism was going to change that. Instead of folding under the pressure, he locked in even more. Their doubt didn't shake him. It fueled him, because deep down, he knew that what he showed on that field wasn't some lucky moment. It was real. It was proof of who he is and what he's capable of becoming. And now, those same scouts are left second-guessing everything. They thought they had him figured out. But what they saw last week flipped their entire evaluation on its head. At first, they saw attitude. They saw confidence and labeled it arrogance. They judged him before really watching him. But Shedeur didn't let it affect him. Instead, he showed exactly who he is when the lights are the brightest. And now those same scouts, the ones who once questioned if he had what it takes, are sitting in silence, unsure of what they just witnessed. His performance is making waves, and suddenly their early opinions are starting to look shaky. They didn't just see a strong-armed college quarterback out there. They saw a leader, calm, smart, in total control. The more his confidence grows, the better he gets. And now, they're starting to realize they might have missed something big. What they once brushed off as ego now looks more like confidence that can't be rattled. And his ability to shine under pressure is forcing a lot of people to rethink how they evaluate talent. Every day that passes, the question gets louder. How long can they keep ignoring the guy they once dismissed? Have we ever seen a quarterback flip the narrative like Shedeur Sanders just did? How often do players get counted out because of assumptions or snap judgments? How many times is confidence mistaken for arrogance? And how much potential gets overlooked because of it? Maybe this is that turning point. Maybe those very traits we criticize in young players are actually the ones that turn them into something great. What if Shedeur is exactly the kind of quarterback the league's been missing? What if we're watching the start of something special? So what do you think? Could Shedeur Sanders be the real deal? And what kind of impact will his rise have on the 2025 NFL Draft?
But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion.
The $50 million robbery of Shedeur Sanders. Because that's what I just witnessed. Everywhere we've seen, everything we've seen, everybody that has seen him play said he is the one or two in this draft. I love Cleveland picking this kid.
The NFL Draft is usually a time of celebration. A moment when dreams come true and talent gets recognized. But in the spring of 2025, that dream took a sharp turn for Shedeur Sanders. Instead of a milestone, it became a nightmare. One that might lead to one of the biggest lawsuits the NFL has faced in years. Shedeur, the Colorado Buffaloes quarterback and son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, was once expected to be a top 10 draft pick. But instead, he slid all the way down to the 5th round, pick number 144, by the Cleveland Browns. Now, quiet speculation has grown into loud conversations. Reports say the Sanders family is getting ready to take legal action against the NFL and several team owners, accusing them of collusion, defamation, and causing long-term financial harm. And the more you look into it, the more complicated it seems. From the outside, Shedeur's sudden drop in the draft doesn't add up.
What we're looking at is a convergence of a lot of history falling into one weekend. There's a history of the NFL and their ideas about protecting the shield and what they feel like. There's histories of the Sanders, history of the quarterback, which makes this really complicated and pretty much impossible to find one specific answer about why Sanders fell. He was probably already a fringe first-round pick, so some of the mock drafts were wrong. There's probably some owners out there who wanted to humble him and Sanders, and then there's just the talent that was there. So I'm not, it's okay, I think, to say we don't know what the specific answer is. What I do know, though, and I know it's maybe a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like it's important to say, I want to say this to folks on the internet and folks who are paying attention. This is not the Colin Kaepernick situation. This is important to know. Colin Kaepernick was absolutely blackballed from the league for standing up for folks' rights. This is not what Shedeur Sanders went to. He was embarrassed for 48 hours in the draft, and he ended up going to a Browns team where he still could possibly be a starter on that team because they managed to have half of Wu-Tang Clan's worth of bad quarterbacks, and he can still work his way up to a starter. So this is not the same situation. His career can still end up being okay.
Shedeur Sanders led the entire NCAA in completion percentage with an impressive 74.1%, broke several school records, and was right at the center of what many called the most talked about college football storyline in the last 20 years. With months of hype suggesting he wouldn't fall past the early second round, the expectation was clear. But instead, he had to sit through 3 painfully long days. Then came pick number 144, a moment that quickly went viral for all the wrong reasons. The cameras at his private draft party cut away. The champagne never even got opened. The room went completely silent. Deion Sanders didn't hold back afterward. According to those close to him, he was furious, allegedly saying, "This league just blackballed my son." At first, it sounded like a heartbroken father speaking out, but not long after, the leak started.
Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on him? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on him. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that.
So a lot of times when you go to these combine meetings, teams give you things to challenge you. Teams will have a player's worst plays ready for him, and they'll show him his worst plays and say, hey, why don't you explain them? And Shedeur apparently didn't take to it well. And at one point, one of the few teams that actually was interested in him said, well, what do you make of this really bad play? And Shedeur said, maybe I'm not the guy for you. That's not the answer. Another moment, what they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks, especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not interested at all, and Cleveland, who traded out of that 2 spot because clearly they were looking for next year's class like the Rams are.
Based on internal messages uncovered by a private investigator working with Shedeur Sanders' legal team, messages that haven't been made public yet but are currently being looked into by several independent news outlets, it looks like a few NFL team owners may have raised red flags about the media frenzy and the branding baggage tied to Shedeur. Even more concerning, there are reported claims that some team ownership groups were having behind-the-scenes talks, quietly advising each other to steer clear of drafting Shedeur unless they absolutely had no choice. People close to the Sanders camp say these private conversations even mentioned things Deion said back during Super Bowl week. Those blunt interviews where Coach Prime made it clear they would call the shots and wouldn't play for certain teams. Basically, they were following the same playbook Eli Manning used.
Will you step in Eli Manning like, Deion Sanders like, to the point where like you told him, hey man, I ain't taking that psych test with the Giants. I followed you after that. I said I wasn't taking it either. Will you step in and do some of that if it's the wrong organization and say he ain't going there?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it publicly. I'll do it privately.
This time around, though, the league supposedly answered with a wall of silence and behind-the-scenes sabotage. According to insiders, the upcoming lawsuit is expected to claim that the NFL worked together to hurt Shedeur's draft stock, not because of his skills, but because of how things looked in the media, internal politics, and bruised egos.
If they played the cards and picked him up in the 5th round, but I surely would like to know how they knew he would still be there in the 5th round. I've been on that stage for years and years and years. I've never seen them position the cameras in position, give forewarning about who's about to be drafted. I wonder if Cleveland got a call from somebody in the NFL saying, we got to draft this kid. You just robbed this young man of $50 million. And it wasn't on his playing ability. Wow. Shame on you.
Primetime Deion Sanders' natural bravado, coupled with that of his son. They say that the whole interview process wasn't that impressive when he showed up at the NFL scouting combine and refused to work out. That hurt him. The interview process while he was there hurt him, etc., etc. You know what, y'all? I get it. It makes perfect damn sense if he's drafted in the 2nd round. It's the fact that he fell to 5th that's alarming.
After the draft, analysts on Fox Sports tried to make sense of the slide. Some said Shedeur wasn't a once-in-a-generation type of player. Others questioned his intangibles or pointed to the so-called baggage he brought with him. But instead of cooling things down, those comments only added fuel to the fire for Sanders' legal team. They're asking, how does a quarterback with a higher completion percentage than the #1 overall pick fall more than 130 spots? Why did draft experts rate him so highly, yet not one NFL GM publicly pushed back when he slid? From the Sanders camp's point of view, this wasn't just a case of a poor team fit. It looked more like a deliberate effort to send a clear message. Players don't get to control their future. That power belongs to the league. And nothing seemed to capture that message more clearly than Colin Cowherd's widely shared line: "Nobody wants a celebrity backup quarterback." According to sources, that quote is already being looked at closely by attorneys and has shown up in early versions of the legal filing. To them, it's more than just a jab. It's part of the case.